I cannot believe we have a new live show at Hollywood Studios.
And it's good.
Yeah.
Like, new live entertainment is always a plus, especially in the air conditioning inside out of the Florida sun.
Yeah.
And when it's actually good and worth seeing, it's such a bonus to any park that it's in.
I would say anything at a park in Florida that gets you into the AC is automatically good, just because
Yeah, for sure.
you're out of the sun, you're out of the humidity, you're out of the potential rain. And so anything that does that is an automatic win in my book.
Absolutely. So the show we are talking about is Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After, a brand new offering at Disney's Hollywood Studios that opened on May 27th of this year, May 27th, 2025. It's been open for about a month. We've seen it a couple of times, and we're going to give you a full-on review. You know, if you haven't seen it by now and you want to avoid spoilers, you may want to avoid this episode until after you see it.
Yes.
But thank you for the 2 minutes of listen. Anyway, we appreciate you. But this show, Villains Unfairly Ever After, replaced Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The old Racing Academy show was over next to Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror.
You may have not even known it was there.
You probably didn't even know it was there because they didn't have any signs anywhere telling you it was there.
Yes.
Unless you entered the Rock and Roller Coaster courtyard, you probably never knew it was there.
Now, I did want to pause really quick.
Yeah.
We are aware that there are two shows that have started on the same day at Hollywood Studios. However, we are going over one.
Just one.
Just one right now. So just so you know, we do know. And we actually have attended both. So if you go over to this channel you're watching on, or if you're listening, head over to youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers, and you can actually watch both shows in its entirety. But I did want to say, if you're watching or listening and saying, wait a second, I thought there were two shows, you are exactly right.
Correct.
But today we're talking about Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After.
So the description from DisneyWorld.com for Villains Unfairly Ever After is mischievous or just misunderstood. Enter the realm of the magic mirror where dozens of villains are trapped. They want the mirror to reveal the truth, which villain has been treated the most unfairly of them all. Watch as Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, and Maleficent present their cases on stage, persuading with wicked wisdom and wisecracks. There's a lot of W's there. Will you be swayed by their hijinks and humor? It's a spellbinding show with moving music and a most memorable finale where you help decide who has been treated most unfairly.
Now, one thing I do want to say is, if you're listening to this and going, okay, let me find out like who I think this is. Some of these shows are villain guest appearances are actually from movies that are a little bit older than you would think.
Yeah, like shockingly old.
But first, do we want to talk about what's the word for it?
The summary, the plot?
The banger of a song that it starts with?
Absolutely. If you go on Spotify or YouTube or any of those places where you can find music, if you search for Magic Mirror, you are going to find the song from Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After.
Yes.
The artist is John Barnick. It is basically, this track is the first 3 minutes and change of the show. And it's funny because we tried to upload the entire show on opening day to our YouTube channel, and it was immediately shut down because the first 3 minutes of the show is that track, and it is a copyrighted piece of music that has been released.
Which is wild because I don't think we have ever had a video that just like immediately gets shut down that fast.
Correct. So we had to remove the first song from our YouTube video. So when you watch it, you are missing the first 3 minutes and change. But if you listen to this song, you'll get that first 3 minutes and change, and then go ahead and watch the rest of the show because the rest of the show is there in the video.
But tell me a little bit about what is in that song.
Yeah, so it's the Magic Mirror, who has historically been enchanted by the evil queen from Snow White, and basically he is lamenting how he used to serve the evil queen, but now he's kind of overwhelmed by all these Disney villains who's asking them who's been treated the most unfairly of them all. I keep saying fairly, unfairly. And since he can't judge himself and he can only reflect, see what they did there? He asked the audience, us, to help decide who is the most understood villain. So that's kind of like the basis of that first song, and it is so catchy. It's magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, but it's like this really catchy song. We can't play it for you on here because it will get dinged on the copyright stuff, but did you want to go over the lyrics?
I kind of do.
Okay, perfect.
Just briefly, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's
long.
A decent amount of the show is the song.
So the first part of the show, so this is the first part of the track, but it's not necessarily the song part yet.
I would say that the magic mirror is like freestyling.
Yeah, he's kind of like complaining
but he's like
for the
freestyling
first minute and a half. So you hear magic mirror on the wall from the queen. And then he comes in with his deep voice. He's like, oh, for the days where that was all. And what dost thou know about my queen? Think she the only villain I have seen? Think again, which is why I have summoned you. Oh, for the days where one villain summoned me, a queen with a question. You know how it goes.
How does it go?
Magic mirror on the wall.
Wall.
Your turn.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Well done. But define fair. Beautiful? Once upon a time it was. But these days, villains are preoccupied with who's been treated most unfairly of all. And then he starts kind of rapping.
I don't have lyrics in front of me.
Oh, sorry, I have them in my hand.
You had all the lyrics.
So we can kind of swap off here. So each villain here would like to suggest they're not bad apples; they just get bad press.
So they whine and they ask if they're victims of a grudge. I just reflect. I can't judge.
To make matters worse, when they find a looking glass and recite that question, they continually ask.
The evil queen strikes with a terrifying crash and smashes it to bits.
It's up to you to tell them what you see. Please make a choice so they'll stop asking me. And then here comes the song. It's magic mirror on the wall, who's most misunderstood of all.
But I can't judge, I just reflect. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the basis of the opening song. There is another couple of verses, but I'd say about the first 3 minutes and change of the song is Mirror lamenting to the crowd and then kind of dropping that banger of a song.
So he's basically just saying like, oh gosh, they just keep asking me who's treated the most unfairly. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. But he wants our help because, again, he can only reflect.
Now, there are lots of Disney villains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Tons.
going into this, we weren't sure exactly who we were going to see in this show. But we get to see 3 live villains. So spoiler alert, there are 3 live villains currently on this show. So one by one, villains break through the mirror to make their case. Now, before we see any of these villains, I will say that do we have a whole picture? I guess you can kind of see it on the background, right?
Yeah.
So here's,
Looking at this here.
let's see.
You want to see the 3 villains?
Well, I just want to show like how the stage is set up, kind
yeah.
of. You like
Yeah.
kind of like the background of what we have set up, where.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So this is where you can see like the magic mirror is talking to the crowd if you're watching or if you're listening. Basically, there's tons and tons of these frames that are supposed to be pieces of the mirror. And they call it like the realm of the magic mirror. So all of these villains are able to look through these pieces. And even before the show, you actually get to see like eyes peering through the smoke, kind of like checking up on you. you definitely know that there's something going on in another realm that you can't reach. But as the magic mirror sings their song, their song, I'm not sure. His song.
Yeah.
Then we start to get our villains who are going to make their case. The first one is going to be Cruella de Vil, who claims her obsession with Dalmatian fur was just artistic inspiration, and she performs a flashy, fashion-themed number. And here on the screen, you can see that she comes out, she's singing. There's so much happening around her. The entire stage is basically going from like sketches of her art to entire Dalmatian, like just Dalmatian spots. It's supposed to look like, I think, her home in the movies.
Yeah, I think so.
And I would say that also all of these villains are based off of the original animated movies, from what I can tell.
Absolutely. And then so Cruella does her thing, and then the second villain that we get to meet is Captain Hook. And he appears next, blaming Peter Pan for ruining his reputation and begging the audience to see things from his side, until a fun little thing happens where Hook is kind of doing his number on the stage here, and then TikTok, the crocodile comes across the stage. There he is. Comes across the stage and chases Captain Hook away at the end of his number.
So yeah, each of these villains come out and do an entire song pleading their case. And the last one to come out and plead her case is going to be Maleficent, who arrives very dramatically. She's trying to persuade the audience that her actions were misunderstood and justified. And she makes a very I don't know what the word is. Like
a grand entrance?
A grand entrance, yeah. Like she comes down the grand staircase, and, she's acting like, the entire area is just like her stage. Like she's owning the stage. All of them pretty much own the stage. They're villains. They're Disney villains. They got that confidence.
Absolutely.
Now, chaos also ensues when Hades and Jafar argue over who's more misunderstood, overwhelming the mirror, and then the evil queen reappears, declaring that the mirror belongs to her, and smashes all of the mirrors. So, just to kind of recap, Magic Mirror has sung to us about they keep asking me who's the most unfairly treated. Then we have these three villains, Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, and Maleficent, come out to all plead their case. And then, while Hades and Jafar, who only appear on screen, they're not physical, actual characters, like entertainment, that's whenever chaos ensues. Then the magic mirror lets us know, you know what? How about you decide who you think the most misunderstood is?
Absolutely.
And then you actually get an opportunity where they actually try to get crowd interaction to try to vote for who is the most misunderstood character or villain of all.
They're all out there, and Hook's going, Hook, 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 and Maleficent's like, cheer for me. And at the show that we ended up going to, Maleficent was declared the winner, I guess, or deemed the most unfairly treated of all. And she has a whole celebratory moment at the very end. So
now I do want to mention something, because you and I were talking about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking some of these movies are not that old, but Sleeping Beauty came out in 1959. So that's Maleficent. So that villain was introduced in 1959. Peter Pan, so Captain Hook, introduced in 1953.
Wow.
And then Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians.
That was what, the 60s?
1961.
Wow.
So it's wild to me, because I feel like those came out when I was a kid.
No, way before we were even thought. Those came out before my parents were born. That's insane.
But doesn't it feel like they were part of your childhood growing up?
No, for sure.
We had
Absolutely.
VHSs of that. Those were movies that you were always big parts of like the Disney culture, so to say. But it's really interesting because I just think that there's got to be a whole generation of kids that maybe haven't seen these movies. And it's been a long time since I feel like some of these movies that we watched.
They almost feel like they could be outdated, but these characters are so relevant in the parks, like in the parades and in different stage shows over the course of time, that they feel timeless. So they don't feel old. But it'd be nice to see if this Villains Unfairly Ever After show updates at some point, and we see other villains aside from Maleficent, Cruella, and Hook.
Except from the 50s and the 60s.
Right, exactly. But I mean, I understand why you couldn't have Jafar and Hades in person live there, because the effects that they actually showed in the theater when Hades and Jafar were on the screens, you can see that there's like fire effects that like light up the whole stage and change the colors and everything, and that just wouldn't portray well with a live actor. It works really well with them on screen. But I'd love to see other villains, like you can see all the screens in the background there. I'd love to see all those other villains, even the Evil Queen, show up and do her thing, and then we can, I guess, vote on 3 new villains, or maybe rotate one in or one out.
I do love that when in those moments where you have all the villains in each of the frames, that a lot of villains are represented in this show that you normally don't see in like in and around the parks, unless it's like a rare character appearance.
Right.
I know somebody in our comments was not very happy that the king from Wish was included in this. They didn't feel like he should have been
he's
included.
A villain.
He's a villain.
King Magnifico, I think his name is.
Yeah, but we also had like the king from Robin Hood, the Tiger King. Not like the Tiger King.
He's never going to
Wait,
financially
is he a
recover
lion
from
or a
this.
tiger? He's not.
I don't know. I think he's a tiger.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well,
He's not the Lion King.
Well, just to kind of wrap up, he's not the Lion King. That's true.
Simba.
Well, here's the thing. After you choose who is the most unfairly treated of all, who's the most misunderstood, they announce who wins.
Yep.
And then the magic mirror is ready to say goodbye. But the chosen villain refuses to leave, saying, "The villain always gets the last laugh." And then once the mirror realizes he's been tricked, all the villains appear laughing as the mirror cries out in horror. And the show ends with his final words.
Oh, no.
And that's it. And then they give you this like song, "Magic Mirror on the Wall."
Oh, it's a great
like,
exit music.
Exit music. They're like, "Get
it's
out."
a bop. If you can stay in the theater long enough to hear the whole thing, it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
It's great. But they do so many shows daily. Right now, the first couple hours of the park day, it's every hour. And then for about 5 hours, it's every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, up until 7 o'clock, I think it's every hour again, like 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. But they do a ton of shows, so they are churning and burning, getting people in and out of that theater, and it is great. There's over 500 individual seats in there now. Remember what the theater looked like when it was Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy? When it was just
had, like,
these really
benches.
spread out long benches, kind of like Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. They had these long benches that you would just sit on, and they're not
but they were benches like at Phantasmic, like no back.
Well, yeah, but like that's the kind
Very
of the setup of what we were looking at.
Right.
Like long benches that people would share, not individual like theater seats.
Yeah, with any cushion. It was just like
Right, and these are like really nice themed. Like if you look at the side of the seats, there's like villain logos on all of the seats. So
Okay.
it's really cool. It's they did a really, really great job refurbing the theater.
It's barely recognizable.
Oh, not even.
They have so many new screens, and so many of the sets are movable. So like the set pieces will move with whatever's happening on the stage. So I feel like it adds to it and makes the stage feel multidimensional. There's so many projections. The lighting is insane. There's also like little doors and stuff lower beneath like on the sides at the bottom that like when Captain Hook comes out, a little door or like window, like something opens.
Yeah.
And a what is it called? Like
Like a balcony almost.
yeah, but the like a little thing opens and the like a cannon shoots out.
Oh yeah.
So like there's like physical props that are happening. And also the I would say that the actual show is going on way further back than just what you would expect like directly in front of you. It's kind of like when you in some of the other shows at Disney where the initial like stage widens as soon as the show starts. So it makes it feel very immersive. And what do you think of that sound system?
Oh, it was great. They completely upgraded the sound system in that theater, and it is fantastic. There's all kinds of fun music and sound effects, and it reverberates all around the theater. They did a really good job with the spatial sound, and it's definitely a huge upgrade of what was there before. The only thing that I don't particularly love in this show is the fact that there's only 3 live actors, I guess, in this show. Everybody else is digital. Everybody else is on a screen, except for the 3 villains that that are pleading their case to you throughout the entire show. I wish there was more. Maybe like that opening number may have like dancers or something fun. You know, like how they have the dancers at the beginning of the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular at the Not So Scary.
Or even at the castle show, like the beginning of the castle show.
Right. They have like dancers out there to kind of start the show, and then like the thunder rumbles, and then the show kind of starts. Where this one is just kind of like like we were talking about before. It's like an audio address from Magic Mirror, and the first 3 or 4 minutes you don't see anybody.
Which is still visually stunning.
Oh, it's amazing.
But
I wish there was a little bit more human activity on the stage.
I also very much wish that it was kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. You had a little bit more of a surprise in who you were getting on the show. Because,
that would be cool.
Because there's so many Disney villains to choose from. And at the end of the day, like when it comes to the Disney villains, like those are not the only 3 you can choose from to be most misunderstood.
Right.
And some of them are just as common, like when it comes to villains. I don't know who I would want to see rotated, but I do feel like it would be a fun opportunity. I do understand that every villain would need its own like set and like choreographed dance and all this like costume. But I think it would be really fun if there were like 6 villains and you didn't know who you were getting out of those 6.
Yeah, exactly. Just any random 3 of the 6 on any given day.
Can we talk about one other thing?
Yeah.
I swear, since we saw this, the only thing I can ever think of is there really, really an option when it comes to who is the most misunderstood? Because I think there's only one option.
I guess. I mean, why do you say that?
So I did go on ChatGPT.
We love ChatGPT. I'm stumbling over everything today.
That's okay. We went on ChatGPT. It is hard to say like
ChatGPT.
And like when we were talking about crimes in terms of like if we're actually going to talk about crimes, Captain Hook, his crimes are piracy, attempted murder, mainly Peter Pan, kidnapping, child endangerment, cruelty to animals. He's trying to kill the crocodile. Conspiracy with Smee to commit violent acts. Cruella de Vil, attempted mass animal cruelty. Theft.
But isn't the crocodile thing justified? Because the crocodile is definitely trying to eat him too.
Right. So here, let me read the rest of this and then we're going to kind of come back around to that. Because yes, I do agree. Conspiracy to commit animal abuse for Cruella de Vil. Breaking and entering. She broke into their house. Remember to steal puppies. Harassment and stalking. Reckless driving and endangerment. Maleficent. Attempted infanticide. Cursing a baby. Actual curse. Life-threatening magic. Sorcery with malicious intent. Animal abuse. Conspiracy with goblins and demons. Kidnapping. Aurora. Castle siege and destruction. Transforming into a dragon to kill everyone.
So many crimes.
Attempted regicide. So I mean, ChatGPT says Maleficent is like the worst.
baddie.
Yeah, she's got the worst rap sheet. But one thing I think is the one who's the most misunderstood has got to be Captain Hook. I'm
I
not
agree.
saying he's a good guy, but Peter Pan chopped off his hand and fed it to the crocodile. So the crocodile's like, wow, hey, Mr. Hook, you're super yummy. I'm going to come eat the rest of you. And that's why Captain Hook's afraid of him, because he's like, this crocodile thinks I'm delicious and he wants to finish me off. So Captain Hook lost a limb and has a vengeance out for the kid who has a gang of other children who he has kidnapped from their family homes.
Yeah.
Like,
it does feel like Captain Hook is by far the most misunderstood of those three.
now I'm not saying that like I dislike Peter Pan. I'm just saying if we're looking at who's the most misunderstood, like these lost boys keep messing with
They're
Captain Hook.
tantalizing the poor guy.
And then Peter's always like, ha ha,
You're a codfish.
I cut off your hand and I gave it to the crocodile.
Yeah.
I fed it to a crocodile. Like, whoa. Like, that's mean. That's messed up.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, do you think that, like, overall, every time he should win?
I'm fully agreement with you. Captain Hook is definitely the most misunderstood of those three. Absolutely. One really fun thing is I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but apparently somebody different wins every once in a while.
Yeah.
I've seen the show twice, and Maleficent won both times. I'm not sure if that is true, but I did hear that Captain Hook won at a show that my friend went to. And so
apparently it rotates.
yeah, I'm not sure. It might just be one of those things where like you ride Guardians and you get Disco Inferno every time. Then it's just like, oh God, that again.
I do think that it's got to be something like that. Like we're just getting Iran, like we did on
right, or never getting Conga.
Yeah, never getting Conga.
Yeah.
But I think if we probably went to like back-to-back shows, we'd probably see different ones.
Yeah.
Because I've also seen videos on like social media where they're like, oh, Captain Hook won or whoever won. I don't think Cruella de Vil should ever win.
No, she's terrible.
She's terrible. She wants to skin puppies. Also, can we just talk for a second about how that was a kid's movie?
I know.
Some of these villains back in the day, like, we just accepted it.
She's just like a downright psychopath.
Right. Well, I mean, all of the villains are like attempt murder in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
None of them are good.
No.
But, I mean, overall, this is a new edition Hollywood Studios.
It's great.
So, for this show, what would you say are your overall thoughts on the show?
I really enjoy all of it as a whole. Being able to sit inside a nice, cool theater, dark theater, with a show that we've never seen anything the likes of before. I know there was a villain show in that same theater before it was Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. That was kind of weird. It was like Club Villain or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was weird. But the fact that we get another theater show, a new theater show, not something that closed and then reopened, something that's brand new. The technology that was put into it is incredible. I love watching new theater shows. Like we talked about in our Epic Universe episode, the Untrainable Dragon at Epic Universe is incredible because of the technology that's put into it. The flying toothless, the amazing stage effects, just everything is just beautiful. And with 2025 technology, getting a new show like this, it adds so much value to that experience, and something that you can experience all day long at Disney's Hollywood Studios too. You can go there pretty much any time of day and get in line and watch the villain show. It adds so much to the experience. 500 plus seats. It's a people eater, and they churn people in and out. It is a really solid show and really solid addition to the park. I know we're going to rate it in a second, but I want to hear your overall thoughts on the show.
I will say that the very first time I watched it from the very front row, and it's a totally different experience. I would say that if I were to give advice or we were to give advice, I would say watch it at least from the middle to back because that's going to be your best seats to get the full experience. I do love this show. Like we talked about, I wish there was a little more variety in terms of villains because there's so many great villains, and pulling all of them from the 50s and 60s is an interesting choice.
Yeah, but they're classic Disney villains, though.
They're classic Disney
Not
villains.
necessarily the reason why they were picked was the years,
Sure.
but
What I mean is, like, I would love to see Gaston come out and like
Oh,
kiss
yeah.
his biceps and be like, "I'm
Absolutely.
the most misunderstood. I was trying to kill that beast." And
I just called a girl stupid.
yeah,
Even though I'm stupider than her.
I just told a girl that she shouldn't read. What kind of
What kind of girl reads?
I just wanted to take care of Belle. Like, I want to have that kind of a mixture,
Yeah.
but I do think it's like a fun show. It's just, it only has so many
It's a
possibilities.
great start.
It only has so many possibilities. Well, 3.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great start. Hopefully, like we said, they add more villains and rotate them in and out. It'd be really cool because they've obviously had real life Gaston in the parks before. So
Well, he's
adding
across the
Gaston
street,
would be
technically.
amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe because of the universe, I guess maybe you don't put him in there because he's in the show across the street.
I mean, unless
you
somebody's-
alternate the times. Where it's like he ran across the street and then back. And
I
then
mean, it's not like you can see both of them at the same time. Like, you're not going to walk out of the stage or out of the
right.
Beauty and the Beast theater and then immediately be like, boom, there's Gaston.
Right, that's
Like, you
true.
have to like go in. It's not like
Yeah.
as if you're seeing 2 Gastons, like some kind of weird multiverse thing.
Yeah, and I think Beauty and the Beast only runs from like 10 to 4. So maybe like the later shows could have Gaston or something.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of fun.
I just think that I think Gaston is a really popular villain. Like, he used to meet in Magic Kingdom and he doesn't anymore.
Right.
But I know that with Magic Kingdom, everything that's coming over there, that we're going to have a lot more possibilities. So it's not just like, this is it.
And this show has been immensely popular since it opened. Lines out the door. So it's great. People love the villains, and this is just kind of a taste of what we're going to get when the Villains Land opens over at Magic Kingdom. But before we go, I want you to rate this show 1 through 10, with 1 being skip it every time, this is terrible, and 10 being an every visit must do.
I'm going to go with 6.5. I'm in
6.5.
6.5 just because I do think I think that there's a lot of possibility, or it's really fun to like sit there and you'll probably notice something new at each show. But there's also so much more to do at the park. I don't know if I would want to I don't know if I would want to see that every single time. So I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Just because after so many times seeing it, you're like, okay, I get the
Yeah, right. I mean, it is basically the same show every single time up until the vote.
right.
So it's not something that you're going to have to repeat every single time, but I do think it is an absolute must do. And you definitely notice things on the stage and you notice things on the screens every time you watch it, and little nuances. So, go see it a few times for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's every time. Kind of like the Frozen sing-along. Like, I love the Frozen sing-along, but I wouldn't go see it every single time because it's basically the same show, but the actors, the historians of Arendelle change sometimes. So the
Right.
jokes sort of change
It
sometimes.
kind of changes,
but it's not an every single time thing. So me personally, you said 6.6
6.5.
and a half.
But I also want to say that like it also doesn't. It's a fun show, but it doesn't give me all the
Right.
happy tears, like magical crying
Oh, no,
kind of
no, no.
vibes.
No.
And if I'm gonna choose, like, I'm probably gonna choose something that's gonna give me like the happy feels.
Right.
Like, I might want to go see Sorcerer Mickey instead because that'll make know what I
Sure.
mean.
Yeah.
But what about you? What would you rate this?
I really like it. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm not going to say every single time, just like you. And it is definitely not skip every single time. It is a really fun show. It's a fun experience. You got some laughs. You got some fun music. You get some cool effects that you get to watch. Great AC break if you're looking for some time out of the sun in hot, sweaty, stinky Florida. But it is a really fun show. I'm gonna go 7.5 because I'm gonna see this show pretty often because I do enjoy it a lot. So
Awesome.
that's my rating.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a great addition to Hollywood Studios. It's a people eater, which is always what you need at these theme parks for people to go inside, get cool. But let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're listening today, please make sure that you like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to our page. And if you're listening on anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, go ahead and leave us a review. Leave us a comment, which you can apparently now do where you listen to your favorite podcasts. And let us know if you've seen this, what your thoughts are on it. But until next time, we are going to let you go so that you can go enjoy our full video of Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After, which you can find on youtube.com/a couple of park hoppers. And until next time,
we'll see you around the parks.